Warning: the contents of this review may contain images that some people may find disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised. Corpse Party is a survival horror series with some rather humble beginnings. The game was originally made in 1996 on the Dante 98 RPG Maker system for the NEC PC-98 by Makoto Kedouin and developed by Team Grizgriz. The game featured 5 characters and introduced the plot of a ghost story being told at the start, and the characters getting trapped in an enclosed space made to look like a rundown school. After this game, the series would lie dormant until the game got remade in 2007 as Corpse Party New Chapter for mobile phones, though that was unfinished. The game was completed in 2008 as Corpse Party Blood Covered for the PC. These remakes included additional characters, and the PC version added side stories which told you a little bit more about the main cast and other characters trapped in the school. The game would then go on and get released for the PlayStation Portable in 2010 and iOS in 2012 as Corpse Party Blood Covered Repeated Fear in Japan and Corpse Party in the West. The PSP version was also the first incarnation of the game to be released outside of Japan. The game then got a release for the Nintendo 3DS in 2015, which included updated sprites and music along with additional side stories, and this is the version I'll be covering with this review. Corpse Party also spawned a number of sequels such as Corpse Party Book of Shadows, a direct sequel to Blood Covered Repeated Fear, Corpse Party Hysteric Birthday to You, a lighter-hearted spin-off, Corpse Party Blood Drive, the direct sequel to Book of Shadows, and Corpse Party 2 Dead Patient, which is yet to progress past its first chapter. Corpse Party has also been adapted into drama CDs, manga, anime and live-action movies, and is very well known for its gory and violent deaths as well as trauma that its cast can suffer through. Admittedly, the small history lesson is an abridged summary of the Corpse Party series. There was Corpse Party Zero, a fan-made game made in RPG Maker XP in 2007, and Corpse Party Rebuilt, a faithful remake of the original 1996 game made in RPG Maker XP by a fan with permission from Team Grizgriz. This remake was also supposed to include a remake of Corpse Party Zero, but unfortunately it was scrapped as fans could not contact Zero's development team. In Corpse Party for the 3DS, you play the role of several characters, a majority of them being the students of Class 2-9 of Kisaragi Academy Senior High, as well as their teacher and the younger sister of one of the characters. After a successful school festival, the students are gathered around a candle being told a ghost story about a teacher that had died at Heavenly Host Elementary before it was demolished and Kisaragi Academy was built over it. After scaring the students with some coordination from the teacher, who was once a student at Kisaragi Academy herself, they are joined by the younger sister of one of the students who had come to bring him an umbrella. The students are then reminded that one of them would be transferred through to another school, and as an act of friendship, the students decide to perform the Sachiko Ever After ritual, a charm which when performed would symbolise all the participants being together. Unfortunately, after performing the ritual, the ground opens up and everyone there is sent to Heavenly Host Elementary School, a rundown school full of mystery and danger, and that's just being polite. There, the students and their teacher must solve the mystery behind the school, or else they'll join the many other dead people who have been transported there. But is the game any good? Find out in The Good. One of the things I liked the most about the game was its use of audio. From the PSP release onwards, Corpse Party utilised what's called binaural audio, and this is done through a technique called dummy head recording. As the name implies, a dummy head is used with a microphone in each ear while characters talk or make sounds around the dummy head. This is to achieve a 3D stereo sound effect, so if you're playing the game with headphones on, it would give the impression that what's going on in the game was happening around you. And that can be pretty creepy if you're doing this in the middle of the night, especially when combined with the game's sound effects. Though be prepared to hear a lot of screaming and crying. I think the way the game handled its story was certainly another thing I liked about it. The game is divided into 5 chapters, and without spoiling much, I did find myself questioning whether I'd done things right throughout the game or not. The game also had some tense moments where you're running away from other characters or avoiding enemies, as well as some timed events where you must do things before the timer runs out and you get a bad ending. As I mentioned earlier, the game is very well known for the violent and horrifying deaths that can befall your characters and have befallen other people trapped in the school, and the game will even punish you for being too curious about things, Yet you can't help but inspect the corpses and notes that they leave throughout the school to find out who they were and how they died, so who's the real monster here? The game also features extra chapters where you can play or view scenes as other characters to see what ultimately happens to them, or to detail some of the experiences that Heavenly host. The extra chapters also provide some background stories for these characters as well as the main cast, so you can know them a little better, and some of these are expanded on in future installments of the series. Of course, to unlock all of these extra chapters you may need to intentionally or accidentally kill your main cast and get bad endings. Speaking of bad things, let's move on and see what wasn't so good with the bad. The one thing I didn't understand when I first played the game on the PSP was the fact the characters got HP when the majority of the dangers in the game could potentially kill you instantly or are the results of bad choices. Thankfully, sub-characters having HP was removed for the 3DS release, as the only character that needs it is the one you're controlling, but I found the HP system to be pointless in general and that the game can simply just use screen effects to show how close to death you are. Thankfully in the sequels this issue gets addressed and other game mechanics are put in place thanks to the game's lore building. Other than that, I found the game was quite solid for what it offered, so it's time I give the opinion. Corpse Party, or well, Corpse Party, blood-covered, repeated fare for the Nintendo 3DS if you want to be technical about it, I feel is the most definitive and complete version of the game to play, and I was a little surprised that the game made it through intact since Nintendo has long since been well known for their more family-friendly policies. The updated sprites and music were a welcome change, considering the sprites of one of the characters in the PSP release didn't have the correct hair colour. The game's use of sound and narrative as well as its story and lore building are its strongest points, and the only major issue I've had with the game was just the pointlessness of including HP to the characters given the dangers present in the school. The game is a somewhat linear survival horror, but it does its job as a survival horror effectively, going for shock value and psychological horror, as opposed to relying on jump scares. If you're a fan of horrors, then I would recommend giving this game a go, as the Japanese are well versed in the art of horror. It's a must play, especially before you even look at the other games in the series, and is usually one of my go-to choices if people ask me for recommendations on horror games. So with that, it's time for my rating. Corpse Party for the Nintendo 3DS gets this mysterious bloodied bag out of 10. Thanks for watching and stay tuned for the next Infinite Backlog review. If you enjoyed today's review, feel free to check out some of our other videos and subscribe for more. You can also follow us on Twitter, Instagram and our Facebook page. Once again, thank you for watching.